Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner Bryan. I'm a senior partner here at ActionCOACH in Central Texas. And I'm sitting down today with Dr. Nathan Bryan, who is the uh, owner of Pneuma Nitric Oxide. We're going to be going through some conversation on business, on entrepreneurship, all the fun things that come along with this kind of journey, talking about different things with this. So, first of all, Nathan, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been, I'm excited to be getting into this conversation, having some fun here. I always like to just start with a little bit of background. Why don't you give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of who you are, kind of what your generalized background is, and tell us about the business.
Sure. Well, I have a little bit different background, probably from, well, maybe not. I shouldn't say that, but I come from academia, science and medicine. I spent 25 years in medical schools, teaching institutions, and mainly research. And my entire professional and personal career has been focused on nitric oxide. So we've developed a number of nitric oxide technologies, have several dozen issued patents, and we've commercialized a lot of those discoveries out of the university. And now we're moving that into really every major product category around the world. So my objective is to get nitric oxide product technology in the hands of everybody around the globe, whether it's in nutritionals and dietary supplements, with skincare products, and we've got a company now going through FDA clinical trials for prescription drugs. So broadly speaking, that's what we do. We do nitric oxide. We do one thing and we do it better than anybody else.
Very cool. So for the audience that's not overly familiar with nitric oxide and kind of what it does and the uses and all that kind of stuff, kind of, if you would dive into that a little bit, give us the, I don't know, I'm going to say the easy to understand version, but give us kind of the context of what it is and kind of how y'all are leveraging that technology.
Well, nitric oxide is a molecule that's naturally produced in the human body. Its discovery was so fundamental and important that a Nobel Prize was awarded for its discovery in 1998. So now, fast forward 25 years, we know that nitric oxide is a signaling molecule. The older we get, the less we make, and it's the loss of nitric oxide that's responsible for age-related disease. Everything from cardiovascular disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, diabetes, exercise intolerance, aging skin. So the holy grail in really cardiovascular medicine and in really longevity in the wellness industry altogether has been, how do you restore and recapitulate nitric oxide production and nitric oxide based signaling in the human body? And that's kind of my claim to fame, is we figured out how to safely and effectively deliver nitric oxide gas in different product technologies. And I think maybe if we just step back, that's kind of been the hurdle. Nitric oxide is a gas, and when it's produced in the human body, it's gone in less than a second. So I was still the first and only person who's ever developed a solid dose form of a bioactive gas. And so now we know that we can restore and recapitulate nitric oxide in humans. And the effects of that are remarkable and transformational.
Very cool. So what are some when working with, I don't know, when patients or somebody is able to take some of this, what are some of the immediate benefits that they would experience? Like what are some of the main things you mentioned? Age related disease, that sort of thing. What are some of the immediate use cases that people would experience with this type of treatment?
Yeah, everybody's different, Tanner, and everybody has a different response. But I tell people, first, you have to recognize signs and symptoms of nitric oxide deficiency. So the question is, how do I know if I need nitric oxide? Well, if your body loses the ability to produce nitric oxide, you have an unsafe elevation in blood pressure. That's 2 out of 3 Americans have an unsafe elevation in blood pressure. You start to develop erectile dysfunction or sexual dysfunction in both men and women. You develop insulin-resistant type 2 diabetes. You become really tired and fatigued and unable to exercise. So those are kind of the modest symptoms that tell your body that your body is telling you that you're not making enough nitric oxide. Now, if you have those conditions and you take a nitric oxide product similar to the ones that we develop that actually generate nitric oxide gas, then you'll see a normalization of blood pressure. You'll see an improvement in performance, whether that's sexual, cognitive, or physical performance. So we can see the needle move on some really important measurable endpoints. And people just will typically feel better. Their workouts seems much easier and more effective, and they just feel better because when you improve circulation, oxygen, and nutrient delivery, the whole body performs better and people feel it.
Very cool. I appreciate you kind of walking through that. I think it helps kind of bring some of this together as we go through the conversation. But if we kind of, take a step back, start kind of talking about the business that you're in, going through this process, that sort of thing. Um, what does the end user look like? When you're, building the business, like who is the customer? I guess that's probably the easiest question to look at is, who is your customer in this particular business?
Our customer historically has been kind of the over 40 population who's looking for ways to not age so quickly, or looking for natural remedies for, chronic fatigue and high blood pressure and things like this. Really a natural remedy for age-related conditions. Now, there's been an evolution in our business over the past, many years or decades. So now we're moving, and really one of our kind of objectives and awareness and education is we want people to be proactive and not reactive. So now we're seeing our customers kind of change and evolve, and we're hoping to empower the younger people, the 20 or 30-year-olds, to understand what the importance of nitric oxide is, so they can be proactive and not develop these age-related conditions. Because the way medicine's practiced today, it's all reactive, right? People don't act until they have a problem. Our objective and kind of our entire business model is, let's provide education, information, and real science on the importance of nitric oxide, build the awareness to the general population. So now a younger customer, a younger person that's fit, doesn't have any so-called symptoms of age-related illnesses, be proactive, take our products, and prevent this age-related decline in nitric oxide production. That's our vision. But to answer your question today, our customer is still, the over 40 person that's looking to, prolong their life and improve their well-being.
Excellent. So your focus, if I'm understanding correctly, is really direct to the consumer itself, to the actual individual that will be looking to leverage this, less on kind of doctors and physicians and things like that. Is that correct?
Well, we have two main segments of our kind of business. We start out through educating and distributing through physicians or healthcare practitioners, because we have to get buy-in from healthcare practitioners so that they understand the importance. So when patients or consumers go to them, they're well informed. But we've also understand that we really have to empower the patient. So now if we can go direct to consumer, provide that education awareness, and then offer them safe and effective nitric oxide product technologies, then they have the power to take the control of their own health into their own hands and hopefully never have to go see a physician again. That's our.
It's fantastic. I appreciate you kind of clarifying that piece, which I always love to ask, a few questions around marketing. And this is like an excellent segue into just the generalized concept of marketing. It's one of those areas that, for many business owners, probably many who are going to watch this later on, it may have gotten into business, know business a lot, maybe don't have a huge background in marketing. It's one of those kind of stumbling blocks, half the time we get into business. So in this case, is you're getting the awareness out there, empowering with education, things like that, for the patients that may look to leverage this technology, these treatments, things like that. What have you found to be successful in being able to reach that target audience and be able to have those conversations and empower them? What has worked for y'all?
Well, it goes back to this simple strategy of being different. And we are different. Our product technology is different than anything else on the market. So for marketing to us, it's just telling the truth, leading with the science, and showing the differentiation of our products. Because there's hundreds of nitric oxide products on the market, and some of your listeners may be familiar with this. But 99% of those products out there don't do anything, right? They're giving your body precursors and substrates and hoping your body can convert it to nitric oxide. But the underlying problem in people that are nitric oxide deficient is they've lost the ability to convert that. So what we do is completely different. If your body can't make nitric oxide, then we do it for you. But more importantly, we understand the enzymology and the biochemistry in individual people, that we can restore the body's ability to make nitric oxide on its own. So there's no other product technology out there. There's no other company out there that does that. So for marketing to us, it's very simple. It's and we just have to demonstrate that difference in our marketing and in our product technology. And so that's a very simple fix.
Excellent. I love that. That unique selling proposition is powerful in that marketing process. kind of delivery channels, things like that, have you found that this tends to work better in a one-to-one conversation? Is it needing to get into physicians first and getting that buy-in, and then they can educate around it? Is it social media? Is it email market? Like what types of channels tend to get that information in front of the consumer most effectively that you've noticed?
Well, as you know, I mean, we're in this age of social media, right, in YouTube. So we put out high quality content on YouTube, on social media. Radio, print, and TV is typically not a big mover for us anymore, where it was 10, 15 years ago. People are getting the content and information from social media. And so we have to go out there, we have to put out the content. It's a completely new way of doing business, but it's really how you reach the masses.
I love that. And knowing that I guess the current audience, kind of target at this particular moment is that population over 40. Looking at content online, have you found that one platform tends to resonate better? Is it, we see more traction on Facebook with this because maybe that's where that demographic is, as opposed to, I don't know, TikTok or something else like that? Any insights or things that you've noticed there?
Well, typically we get the response from where we invest the money, right? We haven't been on TikTok. There was a little bit of uncertainty about the future of that platform. But, we spend money on Facebook and Instagram. We provide quality content on YouTube, and so that seems to be our audience are in those platforms, and so we try to reach those people that we know are our target customers.
Fantastic. I love that. Thank you for allowing me to, ask a few questions. I always like to just kind of, dive in, because that's the type of information I believe helps others kind of understand how they can look at their audience, that sort of thing. But I want to talk, let's take a step back and talk a little bit about just like the business overall, the journey into business. Obviously there's a lot of science and everything else that comes along with it, but I want to talk this business journey. I always like to ask the generalized question of like, what is your role today in the business? Some may say it's every hat, maybe it's a few key hats at this point, but for you, what does that look like in terms of your role or roles, plural, within the business today?
Well, it's an evolution. I'm trained as a biochemist and physiologist. I spent 20 years in academia as a professor of medicine. So I have no formal business training, but what I learned is when you take technology out of university and you productize it and commercialize it, there are a lot of things that have to happen. So I've learned a lot over the past 15 years, certainly on what to do, but perhaps more importantly, what not to do and how not to treat people. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings we have from the experience we have with other business professionals or not so professionals. But early on, I was the science guy, really the guy was trying to get the message out there, tell the story scientifically, talk about the products. Today, I'm retired from full-time academia, so my role is, CEO and chairman of these companies, and it's really the strategic kind of vision of the company. It's always, the rigor of product development, making sure that every product we bring to market meets the rigor of science, produces nitric oxide, and that we understand that, our greatest mission is education and awareness. Our objective is not to sell products and make the cash register ring. Our philosophy is if you do the right thing, the cash register rings. So all of our people, we don't see them as salespeople, they're educators. And when people get the proper education and information around nitric oxide, they find our products, they buy our products, and they continue to buy our products.
Fantastic. I love that. So you mentioned, no formal business training, having to learn a lot along the way, perhaps more of learning what not to do versus the things to do. Outside of the, how not to treat people, are there any like other moments that kind of come to mind in terms of, man, this was a big lesson that I had to learn, or like a hurdle that you had to overcome in this journey from academics to really entrepreneurship and being an owner of a business?
Yeah, I think, I'm having to plug my phone in. I'm getting a low battery notice here. Yeah, I think the eye opener was, you can't take your eye off the ball. The pressures of business and turning a profit and being successful can never kind of skew the original mission of really developing safe and effective products that's going to change the life of consumers. And in previous businesses where I was a original founder and part of that business, they took their eye off the ball, and profitability became the number one objective rather than creating really scientifically validated, rigorous products. And I think that's when people lose their way. It's been, and I vowed that I would never, compromise the integrity of the science. We would never bring to market a product that didn't deliver on the brand promise. So I think that's been the biggest lesson: is don't take your eye off the ball. We do one thing, we do it better than anybody else, and that's all we'll do. There's other opportunities to make an impact in the world, in health and science and medicine, and even in business. But we made a commitment years ago that we're a nitric oxide centric company, and we'll continue to do that and bring the best products in this class to market and be the market leader.
Fantastic. So on kind of that topic, when you look to the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see all of this going, from the business to your role to kind of big ambitions that you have out there? Where do you see the next 3 to 5 years as you continue to grow and develop with the work that you all are doing?
Well, we look back. I mean, obviously, I'm a big data guy coming from a science background. So we look at the trends. So the awareness around nitric oxide is growing. 10 years ago when we started, nobody knew what nitric oxide was. Nobody knew that they needed a nitric oxide product. That's changing, I think, lots to our education and awareness efforts. So I see the next 3 to 5 years us continuing to be the market leader in nitric oxide products. We're taking this now, and I may have mentioned my objective is to bring nitric oxide products into every major market segment around the world. We've done this in nutrition, dietary supplements. We've done it in skincare. I have a separate company called Bryan Therapeutics where we're taking this through FDA clinical trials. And I expect in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll have some FDA approved nitric oxide drugs on the market. So now we not only have providing consumers and patients with safe and effective products, but physicians will have an opportunity to prescribe their patients a safe and effective nitric oxide drug for specific indications. And I know that this will change the face of healthcare. Nitric oxide will change the landscape of healthcare, and it'll be the way we treat patients for the next 100 years. And I'm very excited and really passionate about leading that effort and really being the first company out there to develop a safe and effective nitric oxide drug.
That's absolutely fantastic. I gotta say, it's been really cool to see some of the innovation and things that are shifting within, how we just call it, the healthcare space in general. I know it's a very broad topic, but having a number of different conversations in different areas, the future does look really cool when you realize some of the things that are going on in the world today. Well, we've certainly covered a ton of ground. I want to be respectful of the time, so I love to kind of get into a couple rapid fire questions here, pull some additional nuggets out for the audience. So I've got 4 of them here. We'll go as close to top of head answers as we can on them. There's a few you could probably go a little bit deeper on, but that's all right. So starting with the first one here, when you look at your journey so far, what would you say is kind of your key to success?
I've had a very unique journey coming from academia, and I'm from a science and medicine background. My key to success is staying true to the science and really being the key opinion leader and the thought leader, and actually being the guy who made the discoveries, doing the science. And so being the kind of the thought leader of this product and being able to speak about it, not having to hire, talking heads or other so-called experts. This is my science. I'm bringing it to market. And I think that really gives me a competitive advantage that's unlike any other.
It's beautiful. If you could give just a single piece of advice for other entrepreneurs or business owners out there, what piece of advice would you give them?
Look, by nature, I'm not a very patient person, but this has taught me, this whole field of entrepreneurship and building companies, is you have to be patient and you have to be persistent. When you're doing some really disruptive things and making a difference and making a dent, you become a target. When people come after you, they try to destroy you, they try to ridicule you, and you got to stay the course. And I think you have to be persistent, patient, take the blows, get up, and just stick to your guns and stick to it. Because, if you keep doing what you're doing, and really what we do completely changes people's lives. And, there's no distractions for me. I'm 100% laser focused, despite all the people coming after me and all the distractions. We keep moving forward, and we're having enormous success.
Love that. It's such a good piece of advice. What's one book that either you're reading currently or have read most recently?
There's a book by my good friend Ken Vu, who's a medical doctor out in California. It's called Thrive Life. But it really talks about really how you can, take your own life, all the things, the obstacles, the hurdles, everything you're doing, and really use that as an education to not only live, but thrive. So that's a really good book. He's a really good guy. And that's the book that I just recently finished.
Very cool. Made the note here. I'll make a note for the audience. Kind of a fun rapid fire question here. This is just kind of a crazy one to think about in a hypothetical world. If you could choose just like one area in your business that you could sprinkle some magic dust on and wake up tomorrow morning, and it's 100 times better than it is today, where would you choose to put that magic dust?
Really on product differentiation. As I mentioned, hundreds of nitric oxide products on the market, but none do what we do. But in the supplement, nutrition, and beauty space, everybody can say the same thing, right? Supports nitric oxide production, supports healthy blood pressure. But yet 99% of these products don't deliver on that. So if I could sprinkle that dust, I would like to have, every single nitric oxide product on the market with a validated, objective, quantifiable test, and really demonstrate and show to all the consumers out there that there's really only one product technology that generates nitric oxide. Those are products by Pneuma Nitric Oxide and N101.
Beautiful. So for those that are watching that want a little bit more information, that want to follow the amazing work that you're doing, that this may be something they need to look into, learn more about, etc., where can we advise them to go? Where can they make connections, learn more, all of that fun stuff?
I'm certainly searchable on search engines. I have a YouTube channel, Dr. Nathan S. Bryan, Nitric Oxide. I'm on Instagram, Dr. Nathan S. Bryan, Twitter at Dr. Nitric. I've got an educational website I'd like to send people first because, again, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to provide quality education and awareness that's based on real science. And that's drnathансbryan.com. And then for our products, we've got a product website called n101.com. And we're happy to give your listeners a 10% discount and free shipping on any products. Just use the coupon code ACTION. And that's at n101.com.
Beautiful. I appreciate that. All as much of that as I can possibly cram into the description below will be in the description. Make sure you go and check that out. Take advantage of the amazing, gracious offer here. Make some connections. Go check out the YouTube page. Make sure that you're getting educated on all this amazing stuff. This amazing science that's coming out here. So, Dr. Bryan, I want to finish with one final question here, which I always love to end these conversations on, and that is simply this. What is most inspiring to you today?
What inspires me and gets me out of bed every morning are the dozens and hundreds of emails, texts, and phone calls I get every day from people that we've changed their lives. These are people that have been sick and poorly managed with chronic disease for the last, 10, 20, 30 years. They understand, they're introduced to this concept of nitric oxide. They implement that into their daily routine, and it completely changes their lives. So, it's been said, if you change one person's life, you've changed the world. You certainly changed their world. And so that's what inspires me. I know what we're doing is life-changing. And so we're going to continue with it. It inspires me every day by the countless numbers of people that I hear from that, that tell of the benefits they get from our product technology. And there's nothing more gratifying than that.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It's been a genuine pleasure. I know we could probably sit here and dive super deep on some of the
Yeah.
science and everything else. But I want to just say thank you for taking the time and sharing some of your wisdom, the amazing work that y'all have done. Excited to see where this is going over the next few years, but truly thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you, Tanner. It's my great honor and pleasure.